We're back. She didn't go anywhere, right? Looking lovelier than ever. Some precious birthday moments. She is Leslie Big Les Segar, the silhouette. Man, one of the most iconic images within the landscape of hip-hop flavored television, right? We would be remiss if we didn't take a moment to, indulge in how the Living Single sitcom series intro came to be. Shout out to brother Otis Salid, but it wasn't a plan that was confirmed and a deal that was signed.
No, a lot of people thought like, oh, you and Latifah are friends, probably because of Rap City. She called you up and that's how you got on the show. Latifah had nothing to do with it. I met Otis Salid. I stalked him down while he was shooting Malcolm X because he was the director, choreographer, and that whole Lindy Hop scene, and I wanted to be a part of that. And I get a call from him. I couldn't. I was on tour, and I missed the auditions and all that other stuff. But I get a call from him, and he's like, Les, I'm working on this idea, and I think you'd be perfect for it. Let's just shoot it. Let's just see what it goes. I'll put it together and see what happens. So he calls me up. We go to Brooklyn. We're under the Brooklyn Bridge. And for hours, I'm just dancing and flipping and, doing all kinds of stuff on cobblestone. I'll never forget. It was on cobblestone. And it was take after take after take. And so when he finally shot it and I saw the edit, I actually wasn't happy with it because I wanted all my flips in, and none of that stuff was in there. Otis is an artistic visionary who sometimes believes that less is more, or he's about the emotion or the feeling. And so when that thing happens at the end, that becomes like part of the most iconic thing of that whole thing. So he submitted it and they were like, we want it. We'll take it. And the rest was history. The impact that it's had, I had no idea. Till this day, I get people who have remade the intro, put themselves in it, are trying to do the arm swing and can't do it. The guys are trying to do it. Get your head up. What? Like, it's just crazy. I have a whole bunch stored on, and I just, And so when they did the relaunch of the TV show, Otis and I talked about, well, maybe we should shoot something new and update it. I'm like, what am I going to do it on a walker? Like, what are you kidding? And he's like, no, we can do it. We can finesse it. But they haven't brought the show back in a different format. Meaning they're showing reruns again, but they didn't do like what they did with Roseanne or Full House. They haven't had the cast come back together and redo the show. Now, I actually even then tried to become a cast member on the show, or at least get an audition, become a neighbor or somebody, walking through like Dave Chappelle. How he always says, give me something. And at the time, wouldn't let me come and audition, and I just was like, really? Like what? And I think they were probably looking at, even though Latifah was a rapper who transitioned into acting, sometimes dancers have to make dance disappear for them to take you serious as an actor. I couldn't even get in the room. So hopefully this time around, if they come back together, Yvette Lee Bowser will be like, come on, Les, we got a spot for you. I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
Wow. Yvette Lee Bowser, executive producer, showrunner of Living Single, currently working with Dear White People, still wrecking shop. So, Ms. Bowser, we see you continuing to make history out there. If you bring back Living Single, it won't be official until the new silhouette.
I still got to kick it too. A little backflip action. I can get it. Okay? What? Me and Otis, we got you, girl.
The notion of dancing and the genius that has been on display, really, that will always last the test of time. Michael Jackson, your experience with the Remember the Time video where you all are rehearsing for 2 weeks. What happened after the boot camp like rehearsals and then Brother Mike comes through for the first rehearsal?
Oh my gosh. Can I back it up a little bit and just tell you about finding out about the audition? I remember it was a Thursday night. I was broke as hell, just really coming out of off tour, but not really making any money. And everybody from New York is like, oh my God, the phones are ringing. You know there's a Michael Jackson audition tomorrow. You know there's a Michael Jackson audition. You know there's a Michael Jackson audition on Saturday, on Saturday, on Saturday. I had to beg my mom to please buy me a plane ticket. Please. I know I can book this job, Mom. It's Michael Jackson. And she sure enough booked me a ticket. I was like, I'll give you the money back. I promise. And Fatima and I were cool at the time. And so she let me stay at her house and she was choreographing, but that wasn't a guarantee. And it was very clear. I can't, if they don't want you, it's got nothing to do with me, you know? And so we went. Everybody seemed to migrate from New York. Everybody was able to fly in. People were staying at friends' houses or whatever the case is. 1,000 people at the audition, and she picked her top people, which were us, and a lot more New Yorkers than imagined, because it was everybody who was really like running the New York whole East Coast kind of dance game. So then we get a stack of papers like this that you have to sign. All the disclosures. Don't look at Michael. Don't talk to Michael. Don't ask about Bubbles. Don't nothing.
Bubbles.
Leave Michael alone. We're like, okay, we're signing. You know, everybody's just happy to have the job. John Singleton walks in and the whole bit. So then we think instantly that we're going to see Michael. First day rehearsal. Well, where's Mike? You know, we're thinking it's on some Thriller. Where's Mike? In here? So Fatima obviously had separate rehearsals with Mike. We're in the thick of it for 2 weeks, bonding with the East Coast and the West Coast dancers, people whose work we've watched for a long time, and everybody just having a good old time like summer camp. And then it's the time. Michael's coming in tomorrow. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, seriously, that's what it felt like. So Michael walks in, and you're still kind of in your mind thinking about all the paperwork you signed. Don't look at him, don't whatever, like this. But Michael's like, hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? And his low key voice, and then he just is like, he comes up to you. He's like, hey, oh, nice muscles. All right, let's do it. And like, he was really cool. So we start doing the routine, and what we were doing didn't look like Michael's, because Michael had that extra sauce on it, that extra snap, that extra roll. He was in a pocket that we weren't in, and we was like, wait, what? Oh no, we got to go back to the drawing board, because we don't look like that. He had that extra funk on it, and it was just like, okay. And so we had at least another day to make any changes, and we were like, yeah, we got to fix this. Remix, So we had to go back in, tweak it, get up to speed, and then it was time to shoot. And shooting this was my first time on a lot. Not visiting, taking the tour, working as a dancer on the Universal lot. And you walking into these big barn doors, and it is just magic. And it is a feeling that I still get to this day, even if I have a meeting on the Sony lot or the Paramount lot. Like, this is where I need to be. This is where I belong. And one day I'm going to have my parking space here. And it was magical. Grips, lighting, other celebrities. Magic Johnson is over there. Iman is over there. Eddie Murphy's over there. Like, it just was like, wait, what? Who? What? And I'm part of this? I can't even believe it, And it was magic. Michael just talked to us. He was cursing. He was laughing. And it really just became like one big old happy family. Everybody was protective around him. He had like 8,000 handlers and stuff, but he still found his way to kind of like hang out with us. And that tends to happen with most artists. They feel most comfortable around the dancers. The dancers don't want nothing from you. We got the funk, we got the style, we got the flavor. We don't really care. You can't threaten us with a job, because we'll, dancers come a dime a dozen, sure. But we're going to dance regardless whether you're paying us or somebody else's, or we'll do it for free because we just love it that much. So you don't really have us with our hands out, and he just kind of hung out with us for the most part, but he was so busy in so many scenes, he couldn't. But just doing it and hearing action. And John Singleton loves hip hop, and he loved our East Coast crew. He loved the whole everything of it. And because he loved us so much, he made sure to feature each one of us, myself, Carolyn, Marilyn, Tish, Tima. Like, you can clearly see that it's us. And I remember when it debuted, we were staying at, it wasn't the L.E.S Hotel then on Highland. I forget what it was called, right above the Kodak Center, or next to the Kodak Center. We were all there in the room, and it was like a viewing party, like you were about to watch a fight. It was like, here comes, because that's back in the day when like MTV was showing stuff, and it was like, oh my God, here it comes. And it was like, okay, we're waiting for the dance, because it all starts with him disappearing and all that, and magic and the whole bit. Off with their heads. And then all of a sudden you see Carolyn's hand. Here we come. And I'm like, oh, there I go. Like, literally, I can't, that feeling, I guess it's like when someone who's a singer hears their song on the radio for the first time. And then I'm like, there I am again. You can see me. Wait, wow, and there I am again. And then it's just like, oh my God, I know if I call the East Coast, everybody's going to be like, I saw you. And I don't even remember what our mode of communication was back then. I don't know if people were, Skyway, two-way paging or emailing. I don't even remember. But I know when I called home, my mother was like, it was worth it. I was like, that's all I needed to hear. That was it. That was it.
What a magical vote of approval, considering that mom's, perspective was like, look, I really need you to go and get this graduate degree and follow up. But if this is what my baby wants to do, I still got you. Michael Jackson ain't bad, though.
No, he was all good. Yeah. All good. It was magic. It really was. And you fall in love with Hollywood, you fall in love with moments, and then you don't even realize that this is like how pivotal it is for the universe, that this piece of art is like historical in this way, that John Singleton just elevated our whole careers to the next level. Like that did the thing. And even without a backflip, like there's not a backflip from me in this video, but I'm part of an ensemble of the dopest dancers with the most magical artists of all time. And that is like the icing on the cake. That's the dream come true. Check.
Man, John Singleton, Fatima Robinson with the magic of Leslie on display. Michael Jackson, man. Remember the time. The rest, as they say, is history, man. And Magic? Magic, we see you, bro. Magic Johnson getting run in the video, man. Eddie Murphy, as you mentioned, Iman. It's just a classic like no other, man. We gotta get into too much, too little time, but we're going in. The cipher is officially lit. Now it's the birthday celebration, man. Biggie, Pac. And then there's a third that we will get to. But before we get to that third, Biggie and Pac, your work as the Queen of Rap City, co-host alongside the likes of Joe Claire, and later the transition we would see the T.I.Tigger, Big Tigger. He would later inherit the throne, but during your time and era, you had access to those who were really pushing the culture in a particular way. You were there the night that we lost Biggie. We rewind a bit. You were there the night that we lost Pac. So, when you reflect upon the enormity of their celebrity and status and what they meant to the culture on the streets, what comes to mind now that, you really are on your grown woman now, as opposed to, the days where we're younger and we're grinding, but as one matures, things register in a different way. Right. So what do you reflect upon now when you consider their legacies?
Well, none of that felt like a grind then. Even though it was, you got artists selling their CDs and stuff out the trunk, but that's kind of like what you did to show yourself. And it just kind of felt like the next thing to do. Biggie and Pac, having sat with them individually and talked to them on camera and off camera. And because, Pac, Biggie's from Brooklyn, I'm from Queens, so we had that New York sensibility going on. And to hear him say about things he wanted for himself and for his daughter, all of this stuff, he's like, I just want all this stuff behind me. Like, yeah, I'm rah-rah and I'm crazy. And anybody who steps to me, can get it. But he was exhausted by that time of having to deal with that, talking to Pac, who, to me, dialed it back for the people. Like, because he was so handsome, tried to make himself not as handsome. Method Man does the same thing. Like, they're beautiful men, but they try and like look a little scruffy and crazy and not play it up. He is intelligent beyond words. And even though he didn't hide from his intelligence, especially but it was more than just Black Panther and Black history. He was intelligent on so many things, religion, English literature, whatever, and having those conversations with them and wanting at some point in their careers to be able to show that other side to them and still feeling like, well, you can't because this is hip hop and I'm supposed to just stay in this bubble. It got me to thinking that I have to, going forward, be able to show other sides of myself without having that kind of fear, it was also interesting to just being around all that intensity, whether it was jealousy, whether it was hate, whether it was about another woman, which 9 times out of 10 is always, and that came up too between Faith and Pac and everything, that those trivial matters are not the things that propel you forward into making your dreams come true. So for me, even though I was still like technically a good girl, but hanging out in these clubs where at any time, I was there when the whole Shine thing happened and J-Lo and all of that with Puffy. I was there, like you said, when Pac got shot. I had literally just missed or left for a flight when Biggie got shot. So I've been around all this stuff. And as much as it rolls off your shoulders because you're, a New York cat and this is your element, it really doesn't. It strikes another chord of like, even I got to make it before that happens to me. Because, I could get hit by a stray bullet just in case I'm just at the party, whatever case is. So I need to make sure I get that TV show or whatever. So the focus changes a little bit or a lot of it, and the direction and the hunger changes. So there are lessons to be learned in how they live their lives and me knowing what they wanted for themselves and what I need to do to get where I want to be for myself.
The third gentleman that comes to mind, we hit Biggie, we hit Pac briefly, just for context's sake. But being a sister who's a Queens native, just a couple of miles away from where you grow up, Jackson Heights, Queensbridge is just down the street, the North Houses. And a gentleman who goes by the name of Noize creates this classic 1994 debut release, Illmatic. And for the first time ever, what turns out to be 5 mega super producers' latest joint out, the likes of which hip hop had never seen before, and really the game has really never seen anything like it since. How did that affect you both, as a sister from around the way and then as an artist, man?
Well, Nas is a special cat. And what's crazy is that even though Queensbridge is not far from me, it's like night and day because I didn't grow up in the projects. But I went to school with people from the projects. And so there you befriend them and you go and you see their living conditions because you hang out at their house, but you don't have to live in their conditions. So the mentality and the temperament is really different. But when I first met Nas, and this was interviewing him for Rap City, he was like a quiet storm. And I say that in pun intended with Mobb Deep, but you know what I mean? But that's who he was, because Nas is like a pulled back cat. But you feel his intelligence and his power in his words and the power in his pen. And then you realize that he's not just book smart, but he's conscious, forward thinking. And he puts that in his music, obviously with the help of his father. But he just kind of resonated with me in a way that I need to be able to tell my story so that if somebody like him were to rap about me, it would be glorified in a way that goes upward, as opposed to, even though some of his stuff is, dark and that's his realistic, whatever cases, I didn't want that for myself. Sure, it makes for a more interesting story, but if I choose Nas to tell my story, then I need to make sure that all the things I want to be said about me have to be ascending. And he's the kind of guy, because he was still so positive around all his negative homeboys. They supported him, but they were still in the street, robbing, stealing, whatever. And he prioritized himself too. Like, this is no longer for me. I'm not turning my back on it, but I'm just moving over here. And I think even his neighborhood of Queensbridge protected him from getting involved in that. Like, he could still hang around with all the, stick up kids or whatever, but they just be like, nah, you sit in the car, we'll go take care of this. And that's kind of how it was for him. So watching, learning more about him, and then seeing him become the businessman that he is, and seeing him become the artist that he is, and seeing him, cross over into other genres or mix his music up with other artists, just was like, okay, I need to be doing that for myself too. So he was inspirational. If there's any word, that would be the one.
Wow, the album, an all time classic, clearly makes your list of all time favorites. The producers, man. I mean, just for all of you hip hop heads out there, and I guess in fairness to those who this interview may be your introduction to hip hop and the genre of rap music, this isn't a bad place to start. This is royalty. That album, Illmatic, 1994, Nas's debut, like the first jump off in terms of a full body of work, right? Pete Rock, gosh, The Large Professor, L.E.S, Q-Tip, DJ Premier. Stop it.
That's hip hop royalty. Those are like the gods. Those are the guys who had their ears to the street. Those are the guys from different neighborhoods who still had very similar stories, but had that bird's eye view and knew how to put it into the music so that when you close your eyes, you could feel whether it was the gunshot or the bodega robbery or the baby mama arguing with her baby daddy or whatever it is, you could feel it in the music from all of those producers, And I'll just, Pete Rock is that Mount Vernon. What?
Money earning.
Okay, doing it. Right, giving you that stank face. That's what it is. That's what it is. Primo doing the same thing, like, on some guru gangstar, like, yeah. And so for Nas to like rally up the troops like that, they really were like a posse of like cowboys who just was like, we're locking in and this is what it is. And when it hit the streets in New York, it was, sent shivers through everybody's spine. Everything was on rotation. It was like, yo, Nas is the god, like for real. He was up there with Rakim the minute Nas came out. Wow. And that's a big step.
That's crazy. A tender age 19 was then Mr. Nasir Jones, man. We see you, Nas, and you still look 12, bruh. We know. Check it, man. Before the sun sets on us, Queen, look there. You can't see outside of the frame, just behind this shot. It's like 15 goons looking at me like, bruh, you better, hey. Can we wrap this joint up? Got other things to get to, bro. So okay, so I'm gonna hurry. But for you though, we're gonna try to steal a couple of more seconds, man. All right. So promise to do this. Have my back though, right? Because if the goons approach your brother, I just got to know that you got my back. It's FaceTime with Alton. She is Leslie Big Les Segar. Sister Les, what is forthcoming in terms of, I know some documentary projects, are look for you right now. You really, kind of lining up some ducks. Holla at us.
Yeah. Excuse me. Really what I want is that I don't want to just be the chick holding the mic. I need to have my Ryan Seacrest, Carson Daly, Sway deal. Like, we've been hosting for so many years. I want to be able to produce stuff and get content on the air and own it. And there aren't a lot of women who have these deals with these networks that are in this place, and I need to be one of them, and that's really what one of my goals are. But yes, the kind of documentaries I'm trying to tell is a dance documentary of the 90s. Sure, the Vixens are doing their thing, but there's me, there's Straight Ahead, there's Fatima, there's Tish, there's Josie, there's all of us who you guys don't really know our story. You know our work, but you don't really know our story. So I really want to do that. There's still the story of Rap City that has to be told. Sure, we do the Wu-Tang anniversary and we tell all this stuff about the artists, but there's years and years of Rap City that people don't know about that needs to be told. And me being the only female, I got a lot to tell, I stepped into radio, with a blessed opportunity, and that's a whole other world of how to, work in terrestrial radio and what it is to get a gig and to get ratings and, fighting with the other person on the other station or becoming best friends with the other person on the other station who's in your time slot. So I want to tell that story too, so whether I got to try and not put all my own money up, but some, and then get some funding, that's the mission that I'm on. But, I've got some opportunity now to get back into syndicated terrestrial radio. They say terrestrial radio is dying, or it's for the 40 and over. It is what it is. I'm in that category now, as much as my insides still feel like they're 25, but it is what it is. And so, I'm going to try and get back in there and try and get back on Sirius and just really create some more choreography. I've taken a break from choreography for a while. One, because I had some orthopedic issues going on. I'm an old gymnastic G. And once you get up to, take a walk to the kitchen and something snaps, you be like, wait, what? How did that happen? Surgery? I spent my years flipping and now I need So it was that kind of thing. And then I was burnt out too. You know, like I never used an assistant as a choreographer, like some people do. And so when you're doing like 3 groups, each of them have 6 songs apiece. That's 18 songs. And you're just like, oh my God, I have to create for all of this, 4 minutes each. You know, it's a lot when you just like, I just want to dance. But now I'm getting back to a place now where I look at all this choreography and these young cats doing it. And it's so creative and it's so dope and it's so inspiring. I want in like like double Dutch. I want to get in the rope, whether it's just 1 or 2 more times. And I would love to do a stage play. Let me be specific. I would like to do a Broadway production where I get to dance, 5 nights a week. You know what I mean? No, I don't sing. Don't even look for it. I might be rap a little bit. I'm not a triple threat in that area, but yeah, work on the acting chops. And I still, my Pam Grier dream of all dreams. Yeah, I'm trying to work that out. So if I got to write the daggone script myself, shoot it, and take it to the film festivals, then that's what it is. But while a sister can still get some flips in, this is the last hurrah. I'm going to do my Pam Grier joint. So
that's what's up. Shoot, Luke Cage, it's a sister superhero right here. It's forthcoming, and with proper respect being paid. Her, again, the modesty, the humility, her work in radio. Hello. From WAOK V103 in Atlanta to New York's Hot 97 to LA's 92.3 to beat, 100.3 to beat, Power 106, Sirius XM satellite radio, iHeart Radio family, Premier Network radio family. There's nothing that she hasn't done on that landscape either. So proper respect has to be paid, because ultimately, for all of you who are young, you aspire to do some of what she's done. Not only is it possible, but you can diversify the things that you do, man. One thing leads to another. You just gotta focus, follow through, and follow your passion, man. She's lived it, the living legend she is. And it's a birthday jump off too. Ah! Happy birthday to you, Leslie, Big Les, Segar. Happy birthday to you, cha cha cha. Happy birthday, Leslie. Happy birthday to you from all of us.
Thank you so much. And I'm just, happy to be living life. I mean, and just to keep it real with you kids, there, as much as I've done, trust me, there are peaks and valleys. There are times where the phone doesn't ring and you got to know what to do during those times, or how to get your hustle and keep the lights on and not take it personal. Just kind of reinvent, remix, rebuild, regroup, learn something new, but stay where your heart is most passionate, because it's right there. You never know what's on the other side around the corner. So don't give up, ever. It's my birthday.
She is a global icon, Leslie Big Les Segar, giving us some FaceTime. As always, thank you for the privilege, because without you, we ain't got nothing. We'll get together and do it all over again very, very soon. Peace. Happy birthday to you. I just wrote that, Sister Les. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Hold up. Birthday. Okay, see, this is the point where we stop. I have no skills. I ain't got no bars.